Okay, so we're going to be checking out Bellular's video on the return of Chris Metzen, because usually Bellular has some more information about some of these topics with some of his sources over at Blizzard and whatnot, and people that he's contacted with, and sometimes just more context. So I'm curious to see what he has to say about it. Personally, I think that it is a positive thing. We discussed it at length in the episode 27 of the Frozen Sodium Throne. And yeah, let's just see what Bellular has to say. And I'm also going to be playing World of Warcraft while we're watching this, because I'm just such a goddamn degenerate right now that I can't be dragged away from the game for any reason. So, sorry, not sorry.
What a nutty day of news, folks. I cannot wait to get stuck in. White and grey items will soon be transmoggable. I think I know what the release date of 10.0.5 is, and that isn't even the most exciting thing. So let's get stuck in. Chris Metzen has rejoined Blizzard. He has joined the Warcraft leadership team as a creative advisor. He is initially going to be focusing on World of Warcraft before he then expands his work out to other projects in the Warcraft franchise. Yeah, kind of crazy. I mean,
so that might actually mean that there might be a Warcraft 4 in the works, and that could be potentially something that they would bring him in for. You guys think that's a possibility? I think that could be interesting. I haven't played like a RTS Warcraft game in so friggin' long. I think that'd be pretty friggin' sweet. Could be drama? No. Jesus Christ! Dude! Tummy giggles, you're so negative, man!
Chris was there at the very start making this universe in 1994, the year of my birth. So hell yeah that he's back. Now, since Chris left the company, WoW's creative direction has been all over the place.
Yes.
His time toward the end was mostly occupied with Overwatch, and in his absence things were briskly led astray by creative director Alex Afrasabi, who, kind of led the whole burning of Teldrassil thing. Oh boy, it's actually quite telling.
You know what? I can't say. It's too much. It's too much. It's just, you guys know how I feel about the burning of the tree. I'm like, I actually thought that was pretty fucking cool. But fuck Alex Afrasiabi, he's a piece of shit. I can't even, not even for a meme, I can make the thing that I was about to say.
That the Battle for Azeroth cinematic, the one that like was the, big reveal one, that was like the last thing Chris Metzen worked on before he left Blizzard, apparently. And it...
No wonder I got excited for Battle for Azeroth! It was the last thing Metzen worked on! It was like the main reason I wanted to play BFA was because that cinematic made it seem like, oh yeah, we're going back to like just the old school World of Warcraft faction conflict, let's go. And then, no, actually that has fucking nothing to do with the expansion at all. At all.
It was the tone of WoW to a T. Very much unlike the actual BFA expansion. This was only just announced by WoW's general manager Jonathan Haidt, so pretty exciting stuff. First though, let's pay the bills with today's sponsor. NordVPN.com/Bellular Gaming, today's sponsor, which is available at iLink with an exclusive deal and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Plus, Nord actually do a lot more. Now, why would you want to get a VPN? Well, I mean, for me it's obviously pretty simple. Often I want to watch some media content that is, funnily enough, not available in the UK. But I actually recently saw another example of this, you can almost call global arbitrage, where Tom Scott was able to save himself hundreds of pounds on rental cars. Because it turns out rental car providers can kind of extort you if you're renting in your destination country. So he just VPN'd back home and got the deal. So that's awesome, but also security and privacy. Your ISP will not know what sites you're using. They can't sell your browsing data to advertisers, nor can they prioritize some of the sites that you're using over others. Of course, they've also got Nord Locker for storage and Nord Pass for your passwords, which is such a time saver. Of course, their app and browser extension are all super easy for you to use, and you can get the exclusive offer at nordvpn.com/Bellular Gaming with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So, thanks to them for supporting our team for so long, and let's get into the video. My thoughts on Metzen then. Honestly, I'd say this is overall a good thing. I do not think that Metzen is going to be hardcore writing for World of Warcraft, but I do think that he's going to be there to perhaps ensure that Warcraft continues to be a brand that resonates.
I think that the important thing that he can do is kind of like ensure that, at least try to steer things in the right direction. He doesn't have to hardcore write for it. But there's also a couple of concerns, from me at least, which is like, these are very different times. In order for you to resonate with your audience, I mean, I think that Chris Metzen should be able to capture the audience that is excited about World of Warcraft, because even though these are different times, let's just face it, most of the people that do play World of Warcraft, they're not like Zoomers. It's mostly just like old ass boomers like me. We're the ones playing World of Warcraft. It's not like your 12-year-olds. They're way too busy like playing fucking Fortnite, right? So I guess, yeah, Chris Metzen can kind of like help steer things just in the right direction overall. Doesn't have to be hardcore writing. Just make sure that like, hey, let's not do something stupid like, I don't know, say that there was a character called the Jailer who's been manipulating every single fucking event that ever happened in Azeroth. Let's maybe not do that. Like, if he's just there to shoot down those ideas, I think that'll be like kind of good enough.
With these sorts of audiences that it initially resonated with, right? Even just being able to bounce ideas off Chris Metzen, I think, will be a fairly high-value thing for the Warcraft team. At the end of the day, he pretty much created this IP, so he does know a fair bit about it. Now, Chris's previous role within Blizzard Entertainment was one that did cover many aspects of the company, right? So he was leading stuff in StarCraft 2. From the creative side, he had a major influence there. He had a major influence creatively, of course, on Project Titan. So there was a span of time where the likes of, say, Afrosabi actually were doing quite a lot within the World of Warcraft team, but still technically below Metzen when Metzen was involved in the failed successor MMO to World of Warcraft, Project Titan. That, of course, failed. It was cancelled. It was then reborn into Overwatch, which I imagine took up a fair amount of Metzen's time, considering it was from the ashes of what would be Blizzard's next big MMO. Overall then, I think that, well, from what I've heard from talking to people, Afrosabi was truly getting a little bit off the rails with alcoholism and stuff. Obviously there's harassment, etc. that was going on too. This was kind of reaching a real tipping point towards the, in BFA. And of course, as we heard from Ian in the interview with Mike, with Preach, if a World of Warcraft expansion comes out now, the next World of Warcraft expansion is already in pre-production and will soon be entering full production. That does mean that with Afrosabi getting the boot in and around patch 9.1, he basically would have been there from the start of, from the very start, the very core, the essence of Shadowlands. This is not to put all the blame on him, though. I do think that you could have taken the clusterfuck that he left behind as creative director, and I do think you could have significantly done better with that than what was actually done with embarrassing characters like the Jailer and the entire complete self-defeating positioning of the Jailer being the end of the first book of Warcraft. Absolutely silly stuff.
Yep. See, that's exactly what Chris Metzen can kind of like help prevent. You know, somebody goes up to him, hey, how about we make this 5D chess character that is just going to be the ultimate Giga Chad that has planned literally everything that ever happened in Azeroth. You know, how about that? And Metzen goes like, are you stupid? You're fired. Metzen goes like, you know what? I don't think you work here anymore, bro. I think, go speak to HR and get the fuck out of here. You have 5 minutes to clean your desk. What is wrong with you? Also, seek professional help. You call yourself a writer? What the fuck? The Jailer. More like the Jailer was Afrasiabi's nightmare. Dude was constantly thinking about a dude called Tyrone that was going to have his way with him in fucking jail. He was the real Jailer.
But if they are considering it to be the start of a new book of Warcraft, then I am bloody glad that the person who was involved in the very creation of this franchise is there, and that he is not going to be working on other Blizzard projects, that he is creative consultant for Warcraft, WoW specifically, and that's his whole job, so hopefully it will get his whole focus. and not just be, you know, him and Steve having one email a week. But I don't get the impression it's that. Okay, big good stuff. 10.0.5 then, let's talk. Dragonflight's first patch is on the public test realm, as we covered in this previous video. It will include the new trading post system. Some people tell me it's a battle pass. If you think that, no. Have you played a game with a battle pass? I would say. Do you know what one actually operates like? They are a different thing. They are almost always a paid thing, where you basically have to grind up.
They're almost always a paid thing? You mean like the same way that we pay for our subscription fee? Like that? I mean, come on, dude.
Through all of the levels, and then there's an optional purchase called a tier skip that lets you then skip through the tiers of the battle pass. So this does not work like that. It is a 100% unmonetized feature currently. I mean, beyond the obvious of having a WoW subscription. And it overall does seem to be a pretty damn high effort thing for what it is. I mean, if you're going to call this a battle pass, then the Final Fantasy XIV like Moogle event thing would also count as a battle pass. So I don't know. Definitions. I think we should at least try to stay accurate with them. That being aside, though, there are some other new features that are great. First up, white and grey gear can be transmogged, and it will.
I'll tell you what, though. Jesus, trying to pause the video while I'm doing a race is gonna be rough. But I'll tell you what, though. You're being a little bit too defensive of the idea. It's not necessarily that different from a battle pass. I'm not saying that Final Fantasy XIV is that much different, to be honest. If you look at the PvP rewards from Crystalline Conflict and Final Fantasy XIV, it's pretty much a battle pass as well, you know? That's not to say that I think it is or it isn't a battle pass, but I also don't think that it can just be as easily discarded as, oh, it's totally not a battle pass, and this is why. It's like, I don't know about that. But I think that when it comes to this feature, one of the important things that I always think about is like, does the feature make the game worse, or does it make the game better? Like, do you lose anything with the implementation of this feature? No. If the feature wasn't there, the game would be exactly the same. So, and with the feature there, the game is still exactly the same. The difference is there's now incentives for you to do different things if you want to, because it's mostly cosmetic. There's no power attached to it, as far as I'm aware. So it's like, if you think about it, what is this feature going to allow you to do? Even if you don't want to do the activities in the thing, if you just go to Stormwind once every month, you get 500 of the currency, which means every 2 months you'll be able to buy one of the top items that is there for nothing. I see that as a net benefit. Now, we can also talk about how, you know, it encourages engagement with FOMO and all of this stuff, but for starters, there's going to be way more items in the store from what we could tell, at least from the first preview that they showed. There's going to be a lot more items in that store than you'll be able to purchase in a single month. And then on top of it, there's also the fact that you can hold on to one item in between every month in case, you know, you're like, oh, I don't feel like grinding this month, or I'm not going to make enough of the currency this month and I can get it and the thing's going to be rotating. It's like, fundamentally, it is a feature that you can completely ignore and continue playing the game. And if you want to engage with it, you're going to gain access to items that you would otherwise not have access because they're mostly paid items. And I've seen people also say like, oh, anybody that wanted to get these items could have just gotten them through a WoW token, which, you know, like I discussed in the podcast, I'm like, I think a lot of people grossly estimate how much people have a significant amount of gold. Like, look, this is the first expansion I've made gold, and I have 945,000 gold. This is literally the first time I've ever made a decent chunk of change. Before this, every single expansion, I've never even broke 100,000, okay? So, yeah, trust me when I tell you, there's not that much people friggin' swimming in gold in World of Warcraft. That's just not a thing.
Will be made bind on equip, which does mean that if you, oh my god, what a money-making opportunity. I assume this will just be the new ones that drop will be BOE and that you probably couldn't start to hoard them now. If you could start to hoard them now, that would be pretty damn wild, and certainly lots of people will be working out farming locations and things like that for these pieces of gear.
Wait,
overall,
what are we talking about?
Features that are great. First up, white and grey gear can be transmogged, and it will be made bind on equip, which does mean that if you, oh my god, what a money-making opportunity. I assume this will just be the new ones that drop will be BOE and that you probably couldn't start to hoard them now. If you could start to hoard them now, that would be pretty damn wild, and certainly lots of people will be working out farming locations and things like that for these pieces of gear. Overall, this is fantastic for people who want to have less of a high-key transmog, which is good. You know, you look at a Stormwind Soldier, a Stormwind Citizen, and then you look at some, you know, glowing, fiery Christmas tree of a character. It's not what some people want.
Fiery Christmas
also,
tree.
enchant illusions can now be applied to artifact weapons, and Warlords of Draenor crafted item appearances are back in the game. Yes, thankfully. You can purchase recipes for optional reagents for each profession from the vendors in your garrison or ashran using secrets of whatever your profession is tomes. Then these can be used during crafting, and when they are, they will change the appearance of the WoD crafted gear, giving you some options, so that's awesome. There's also a new toy, the reusable oversized bobber. You get this by catching 100 fish with the oversized bobber, so basically I guess it just lets you perma have that. I'm fairly sure though that the new interact key works with fishing, so that would be a big win, and I think you can use that right now. There's also a massive set of class changes, too many to cover.
But you don't need a big bobber. I understand why he's saying it, because sometimes you could like fuck it up, but I actually have a macro. I don't know if I can show it with the video here. Oh crap, yeah, I can't. Wait, how about if I do this? Let me just see. How about if I do this and then slash macro? Maybe it'll show up on the side. No, it shows up on this side. So I have to move this. But I have a macro that I've made, which is this. I found this on Reddit. But for starters, this hides errors frame. I don't like seeing the red text whenever there's an error, because I already know it's probably because I'm mashing on a button and my character's too far away or not close enough or whatever. It doesn't matter. But so that's what this first line does. The second line here, and the third line, these are the ones that make it so that it's a lot easier for you to fish and press the interact key. I've never had any problems fishing with the interact key, so long as I run this macro once when I get into the game. So I can just like basically I hit 6 for fishing and then 7 for interact, and it works pretty much flawlessly. So yeah.
Cover in this video, honestly, we will do a TLDR with some insight from members of our team who play each of the impacted classes in fairly short order. My TLDR opinion, though, is it is really nice to see this amount of response to class feedback so quick. It truly is in a way that we have not generally seen in recent expansions. Okay, the trading post then.
Wait. I need to see what all of that shit is. Are they going to nerf warriors, bro? Bro, they better have not nerfed warriors. Let me pull up the Wowhead post, because that was a Wowhead post he just linked. Upcoming class tuning, the weekly reset, buffs and nerfs to many specs. Oh shit, dude. It's gonna be bad news. Restoration, Death Knight, Evoker, Mage, Fire, Frost, Monk, Priest, Rogue, Shaman, Warlock, Warrior. Arms. All ability damage increased by 3%. Good. Mortal strike damage increased by 5%. Good. Execute damage increased by 10%. Good. Fury. Set bonus. Execute critical chance bonus increased to 25%. Was 10%. Oh, thank God. They're not touching prot. Fuck yeah, dude. Woo! Yeah! Wait, what's this? What?! Dude, but I do PvP as prot. Dude, prot already fucking blows in PvP. What the fuck do you mean? Like, listen. tanks take 50% more damage in PvP. We're squishier than any other character. I'd like to know if healers also take additional damage because they're fucking immortal in PvP. Oh, no. We can't touch healers. We can't do it. We just can't touch the healers, you see? Because they're healers. They heal. They need to be made happy at all times. So we can't touch the healers. But we can fuck around with the tanks all day long now, can't we? Bro, fuck you. What the fuck? Shield slam damage reduced by 20%. Doesn't even hit that hard. Rend damage reduced by 20%. That doesn't even matter. It's fucking dot, dude. It's a dot. It's a dot in PvP, bro. A dot in PvP. Get the fuck out of here. Protection warriors are continuing to deal more damage than we would like, even after recent adjustments. In some cases, we observe them competing with damage-dealing specializations. We should! If we don't have the survivability... That was... Bro, I've been literally deleted in PvP with full PvP gear. Like, just straight up deleted. Like that. All it takes is literally anybody with like a caster spec, and then, you know, you're kind of like focusing somebody else and you're just doing your thing, and suddenly the caster turns around and he's like, "See ya, kid." One shot. And you're like, "What the fuck? Bro, I'm a tank. What do you mean?" We feel that Fury Warpaint now reduces damage taken by 5%, was 10% while enraged PvP combat. We feel that Fury Warriors are too durable, even after last week's adjustments to their self-healing from Bloodthirst. Bro. Give me a break, dude. Yep, it's beginning. They're going to start with PvP. Then it's going to go to PvE. And the reason they're doing it, too, is because everybody's crying. Everybody's fucking crying about Protection Warriors. Oh my god, the Protection Warriors, they're too strong. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up. I don't see anybody crying about the fucking Demon Hunters. No, Demon Hunters are fine. With their fucking goddamn, what was his name? Homelander fucking lasers. Like, bzzz. Let me just pull out the Homelander special. Bzzz. And it's like, you see a Protection Warrior's health go like, bzzz. Because they pull out their fucking Homelander special. Dude, get the fuck out of here. This is some anyway, I don't want to get bogged down by this, but psh. Sheesh. Yeah, just as expected. Yeah, of course, I keep forgetting Demon Hunters are the hero class, so they have to.
It truly is in a way that we have not generally seen in recent expansions. Okay, the trading post then. It has a bunch of new items. This is interesting. So these include the Azure Scale Sworn Longbow for 200, an Operative's Bandolier for 250, Shard of Frozen Secrets for 200, Ensemble Swashbuckling Buccaneer's Slops for 650, Fetid Bouquet for 100, the Vagabond's Rosy Threads Ensemble for 100. So I guess that's a kind of like, I guess more of a low fantasy, like Vagabond ensemble, which I think is really cool. There's the Wanderer's Rosy Trappings for 100, the Celestial State, which is a Storm Out for 100, the Fury of the Fire Lord for 750, so that'll be awesome. Garlock for 750, there's the Infiltrator's Bandolier for 250, Shattered Voidspire for 500, Rosy Corsage for 100, Iridescent Warcloak for 75. That could be kind of neat. Squire's Warhammer for 1,000. And Ash Adar, Harbinger of the Dawn for 999, which is pretty much a full month's. Now, WoW had of data mined some Sun and Moon Warden armor with their matching mount. And I mean, goddamn, what an incredible set of rewards these are. They look awesome. Now, the mount sets have been data mined, but they don't appear to be on the store. We're not sure. The Harbinger does cost 999 tender, though. That's a month's worth. So, interesting. Will these appearances release, like, across 2 subsequent months or something? I'm not sure. And for this armor, I really love the, like, open waist cloak thingy. We don't get that really too often. Awesome. At the very least, this system is a really nice delivery vector for some fantastic rewards and options that players will enjoy. And also, you know, there's so...
Like I said previously, it's like, at the end of the day, does it make the game worse? Nope. Gives people more incentive to play more often, which I guess can be interpreted as a little bit of a FOMO thing. But there's plenty of FOMO shit in World of Warcraft besides this, and this gives you access to items you wouldn't otherwise have access to. So I'm not against it. Wait, I should preface that. Depending on the complexity of the tasks that you have to perform to get the currency, because we don't know what they're going to be. If it's like, do 5 dungeons, that's fine. If it's like, do 5 dungeons with a hand behind your back, you know, like the hamstring yourself in all kinds of different ways, like do 5 dungeons without a healer, do 5 dungeons without a tank, do 5 dungeons in a stupid spec that nobody wants to play. You know, if it's bullshit like that, like they tend to do with like shooters and shit, then I have a problem with it. But it's like, if it's stuff that I'm going to be doing anyways, that's fine, because I'll just get the currency for just doing the random bullshit that I do anyways.
So many things in the game that, like, they literally exist in the game, but there's no way of getting them. Blizzard can slap all those things into this too, which would be quite handy. Now then, how do we earn the currency? Okay, I'll give you a TLDR rather than just dryly, like, do a big list. So, there are several objectives related to completing tasks and activities on the Dragon Isles. These include things like the Grand Hunts and group dragon riding races, using the buddy system when climbing, and participating in the Tuskar Community Feast. Getting that hot soup. There's also objectives related to professions like fulfilling public crafting orders, completing weekly gathering quests. There's also ones with like interacting with other players, like using happy pet snacks, showing love via /love to trading post NPCs and dragons, fishing with friends. There's objectives related to the Love is in the Air event, so it's nice that these will be tied into the seasonal events. I think that will make those feel more rewarding, so that's really good. The Love in the Air ones include having a romantic picnic, killing a specific NPC, and some quest completion. Other ones include defeating creatures during Primalist storms, completing side quests like optional storylines, looting the war mode supply chests. There's also some things related to the hatching of the Hippogriffs event, which is interesting to me because that's one of those mini events that generally doesn't have much of a reward. So this is a nice way of them actually finally making some use of that event. Then finally, there are some objectives related to interacting with other players, like rezzing them, and even hugging players. I believe there's also going to be ones for dungeon and raid content as well. Now overall, these objectives that I've listed here earn from like 50 to 200 tender. There's the whole like log UI to present you with all of this.
So it doesn't seem like the things that you got to do are too complicated, or that you have to go too far out of your way to do the activities, which is like, all right. That's okay.
And to be honest, I think just the way...
Reminds me a little bit of Chloe's book. Like on 14, you have this this thing that's an NPC called Chloe. She gives you a book of activities that you're supposed to do, and then you get these rewards for doing those activities. It's kind of like the same thing.
That it's a bar that fills up. I think that's what's got people thinking it's a battle pass. It's really just a UI thing, though, in the same way that people call Renown a battle pass. Even though Renown is absolutely not a battle pass, it's just using one or two similar UI cues, I would presume, to speak to a more modern audience. Now, your total cap for this Trader's Tender currency is 1,000 per month. You can generate 500 automatically, and then the rest you earn via these objectives that I've talked about here. As an example, filling a public crafting order for 200 seems really generous, but I do wonder if that will be, because it's a public crafting order, be a bit more weighed towards those like very difficult crafts that require very high skill, because anything else that doesn't require soul-bound mats will generally just be on the auction house. But I then wonder, could you create like really easy crafting orders that are public and then just do them to like game the objective? Who knows? Anyway, overall, seems decent. The cap does seem like it's designed less to nudge people into new types of content and more just to reward them for playing the things that they're already interested in doing. If you were earning way more tender, then it would be incentivizing you to do things that you don't particularly want to do, and that's something that Blizzard certainly do seem to be a lot more against these days.
Good.
Of course, with all of this stuff, you can freeze one item in the store, so let's just say there's 1,500 tender worth of items that you want.
That feature is like one of the biggest surprises to me when it comes to this. They didn't have to do that, right? They could just implement this as is and be like, yep, I'm going to FOMO the fuck out of them with the items every month. And, you know, you can either get them, you can either not get them. I still wouldn't necessarily be against it. But that feature is very consumer friendly. I feel like the fact that you can be like, shit, there's like 2 things I really want to get. I can't get both of them. At least I can freeze one. If they had done this for like 2 slots or maybe even 3, that would have been huge, even bigger than, I mean, I feel like the feature by itself is already a pretty big deal to kind of like prevent you from feeling like, oh, I'm missing out, I'm fucked, this kind of sucks, right? So just them putting the feature in was already surprising. I wouldn't have expected it. If they had like given you 2 slots instead of 1, that it's like every slot that you would add onto that feature just kind of multiplies the positivity of what that feature brings. But I feel like they will also want to limit it. So I'm not saying like, oh, you needed to have more slots. I'm just saying like every slot, if they eventually would decide to add more, would increase the value of that feature like exponentially, and would buy goodwill from the players exponentially as well. But still, that feature is like, it's fucking massive in my opinion.
You can only generate 1,000 a month. Well, the good news for you then is that's okay. You can freeze one of the items to next month. You obviously do not have to buy anything in a month, and you will accrue that tender over time. So who knows, right? You'll be able to build up a stockpile of it anyway. Let's talk about the release date. It has not been announced, but it kind of may as well have been. Here's why. They added an achievement for doing the Lunar Festival Elders on the Dragon Isles. Now that festival starts January 20th, which, I mean, it would make no sense for them to put this achievement in and then have the patch come out after that. And when you look at the rest of the patch broadly, it seems to be things like traders and their supporting items, a set of reversed race courses as well. We found that out via the achievements, which is kind of neat. But broadly speaking, it just seems to be class changes, trader post system. So it seems they're really trying to get that just bam in there really quick. I mean, this is awesome. If this is here, like 1.5 months after the game's launch, that's awesome. I mean, this is a sizable enough feature, and it is a feature that won't just last for the duration of a patch. This is a feature that will last 5 years, 10 years, something like that. It'll just keep on going. So this is a baseline feature.
We'll see. Like, it looks that way. Doesn't mean it actually is going to be that way, but we'll see.
Added to WoW, which is totally in line with the broad expectation, the sort of theme of this expansion, which has been that of building foundations. Now, here's what Holly Longdale said. She is the executive producer and vice president of Warcraft. It's a pretty bullish tweet, right? But you might think, oh, it's a load of BS from an executive. One of my followers thought that as well. I explained what I thought it was, and I suppose, look, I have really enjoyed Dragonflight. I thought they've been saying good things and actually backing them up, so I'm definitely willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. So I said what I thought she meant, and she replied to someone who replied to my tweet by saying this, right? Or this exactly, something like that. And if you take a look at what I said, I mean, I make it very clear that it is acknowledging disappointment and under-delivery. So that she said this is good. And I'm sure, look, we would all want a Yoshi P style straight apology, where Yoshi P will be doing a live letter and will generally be pretty real about stuff.
It's never going to happen in a Western company, and I think that's a very bad thing. I think Western companies need to learn to respect their fucking audiences a little bit more, and they should apologize when they fuck up. But, you know, it's just straight up never going to happen. That's just, forget about it. You're never going to get that.
What do we get with Blizzard? Well, we kind of get those weird round table things where everyone just agrees with...
Bro, those round table things are so fucking stupid. They actively put your player base against you. No joke, like, your player base actually almost resents you for doing that. It's like, no, can't you just, like, be real and authentic just for a little bit? No, you gotta like, be fake shit all the goddamn time. That's it. That's all we know how to fucking do. Overproduced and under-delivered. Overproduced and undercooked is what those presentations are.
Each other while one of the cameras cuts to one of the developers nodding to the other developer, and it feels really bizarre. That's the Blizzard style. It's not that great. The live letters, I mean, man, they're a ropey production. But there's a bit of heart in that, and
It's not a ropey production. The production is fine. What you mean is it's an authentic thing. It's the developers actually just having a fucking conversation, which is what you want out of video games. This is one of my favorite things to do. Why do you think that I try and speak to as many people as possible? Like even just later today, I'm going to be releasing a huge conversation that I had with Fighting Cowboy, because to me, I think that that is way more important than like these overly produced videos and like super fucking snappy editing and, you know, the whole fucking Zoomer attention grabbing video format. I'm like, nah, bro, me and Cowboy are gonna fucking talk for almost 1.5 hours. And if you don't want to watch it, don't fucking watch it. Go get some more attention span or something. It is what it is. And it's cool. I love doing that. Me and Akalon speaking for like fucking 3 hours when we thought we were gonna have like a sub 90-minute podcast. It's fucking sweet. I just like talking about video games. And I think that conversational type of content is much more interesting to me than like 10-minute videos. Way more interesting. As a matter of fact, I look for that content on YouTube and I can't fucking find it. So I get to that point where I'm like, okay, fine, I'll fucking do it myself. Jesus. Because yeah, even though there's some conversational content on YouTube, a lot of the times on topics that I would like to listen to is just not there. Very frustrating. Roundtables are mostly a way for Blizzard devs to self-congratulate themselves and jerk each other off. Yeah, it feels so incredibly weird. Because, like, you see a trailer that you know that the people that are going to be talking had a hand in making, and then after the trailer plays, they go like, oh man, wasn't that trailer awesome? Yeah, it was. It's almost like me saying, hey guys, isn't this the best fucking stream on Twitch? Yeah, I agree, man. This is the best fucking stream on Twitch. It's just like, dude... It's straight up the circle jerking. Those presentations are terrible, man.
It does mean that Yoshi P can just say, oh yeah, we're sorry about this, big fuck up. They can't really do that, so I would say that this is as close to one of those apologies that we're likely to get. It certainly acknowledges in a way that them bombastically talking about the jailer being the end of the, you know, first book of Warcraft or whatever. It feels a lot more real than that. I think it definitely reflects well on her. Especially when, I suppose, one could certainly say that I am a bit of a controversial individual, given my very strong, repeated criticisms of Shadowlands and BFA, and like I'm blocked by plenty of people in the team, so...
I don't think it's controversial. I don't think it was controversial at all. BFA and Shadowlands were a piece of shit. This is not a controversy. This is just fucking facts.
I would say, you know, props to her. It's nice to see that there's a willingness to engage there, and that also will, I suppose, reflect well the people who watch this channel, perhaps agree with things that I say. So I just see that as a really good bit of community outreach, and of course, I am giving them the benefit of the doubt here because their words are thus far being backed up by actions, and that's what matters. Miscellaneous things. Right, recent times have not been without drama. Here's the blue post that brought the drama to the end, and I'll summarize it. Recently, they found a bug that let tailors bypass profession cooldowns. They fixed this bug, and they punished people who exploited it a lot, per their data. But after an outcry, they realized they were way too generous with the ban hammer. Many thought that this, basically, that the behavior they were engaging in was normal, because them exploiting what should have been like on a cooldown wasn't really reflected in the UI when the cooldown wasn't working. So Blizzard have now actually lifted most suspensions, only keeping the most serious ones. And they say this has also made them think about improving the crafting user interface and tooltips.
It's like, look, let's just be real, okay? When there's an exploit, and you can clearly tell that there's an exploit, like recently there was the whole PvP debacle. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but apparently there's this currency that you can get for PvP to get like really high level items. And with that currency, you can basically get like really high level shit, right? That currency, in the first couple of hours, was tradable. And that was obviously a mistake. There's no way that it was ever intended for you to be able to trade a PvP type currency. But a bunch of people engaged in that and bought a fuck ton of like gear. In my opinion, it's like, look, I'm not saying ban them, but I'm saying something needs to be done. And you can say, well, yeah, but the problem was in the game. Well, it's like, look, games are never going to be 100% perfect. And people can usually tell what the fuck they're doing. Okay? It's like whenever people were duping gold in New World, they knew what the fuck they're doing. I mean, come on. Come on. You're just trading gold and the gold's not going away and you somehow think that's fine? I mean, come on. What the fuck do you expect? So to me, people who are purposefully cheating, they do need to get fucking punished. It is what it is. It is what it is.
For a future update. To this one, I'll make my statement simple. Big friggin' oof, guys. You definitely cannot misfire on something like this, especially on an expansion month. It is good that they have turned around these very over-generous bans, but a bit of a rough situation. You know, if something just works the way that it does in a game and a user doesn't feel like they're exploiting or wouldn't even know that they're exploiting, you've got to be generous because ultimately it's only happening because you let the exploit ship. What else then? Well, I'll round things up. There's a deal where the game actually comes with a free month now if you buy Dragonflight, and they've also recently changed Recruiter Friend to include players who have a sub lapsed for more than a year. And honestly, my read here is that this expansion's not sold well. You might think, wow, what a hypocrite you are. The expansion hasn't sold well, but you're here saying it's really good. What gives? Well, yeah.
Because it's fucking true. Because the expansion is, both things can be true. The expansion can be really good and still not sell well. There are plenty of indie games that are fucking excellent that don't sell well. And I'm not surprised it didn't sell well if that happens to be the case. And to be honest, I don't even see it as a negative. I think it's actually a good thing that Dragonflight didn't sell well. And you guys are like, well, what do you mean? But the expansion's good. Yeah, it is. But Blizzard has done a lot of really shady fucking shit. And they probably shouldn't have. But this rogue's gonna... You just have to go, bro. You just have to... Come on. You just have to go. You just have to go, bro. I mean, come on. Be reasonable. Die. Just accept it. Why can't you just accept it? Just accept your fate, my guy. No! Accept it! Ah, yes. Payback's a bitch. Dude, rogues do that shit to me all the fucking time. Horde rogues, man, they do that shit to me all the time, bro. But yeah, as I was saying, like, the expansion, you know, I feel like, in a way, it's a good thing that it hasn't sold terribly well. So that Blizzard realizes, like, we can't dick over people as much as we have done in the past. We can't do it anymore because people aren't willing to just straight up forgive. I see this as a good thing. Now, I hope that Dragonflight is somewhat successful because it is a good expansion. But, you know, Blizzard is basically paying their dues now. You're going to be suffering for a bit. It is what it is. Like, look, if I fuck around and not post videos for like 2 months or something like that, and completely ignore the people that I'm making content for 2 months, when I come back, I'm going to be kind of fucked. That's to be expected. I've slacked for 2 months. It is what it is. You guys haven't been doing your job properly. In this case, it's not even 2 months. You haven't been doing your job properly for fucking years. Years. Expansion on top of expansion with bullshit nonsense. Like, hey, now you're going to have to deal with it. Wait, what? What the fuck is this? I can fly? Anyway.
I mean, no shit. Like, Blizzard have not announced sales figures. If they had good figures...
Rurikhan, imagine you made an excellent video but got half the views of other quick win videos. Wouldn't that demotivate you a little bit? Oh, yes. You want to know when that happens? Every other day. No joke. Every other day. That happens. I put a bunch of effort into a video. Like, for instance, the podcasts. You have any idea how much effort I put into the podcasts? Re-listening to them over and over. Even with the thing where I try to, like, post down the topics and all of that, there's still a bunch of adjustments that I have to do. I have to listen to 2 to 3 hour conversation that I've had that I know what is being said, but I have to listen to it repeatedly to make sure that I understand, okay, here's when this topic was discussed, here's when this topic was discussed, and then point down the different timestamps to put it all so that the people who are consuming the video can skip throughout the different parts of the podcast that I produce. That is a lot of fucking work. That is a lot of fucking work. And, you know, and I put those in the podcast, they still just get average views, you know, and then just like that, there are plenty of other videos where I've put like ridiculous amounts of effort into and didn't see, you know, not even a tenth of the view that sometimes some video that I put no effort into whatsoever gets just like fucking a ton of views for no reason. And yeah, it's extremely demotivating, but it is what it is. But see, in my case, I don't even get to know why. In the case of Blizzard, they know exactly what they did.
They would talk about them. When Shadowlands had its big launch, they talked about, oh, this has sold through the most games by, you know, release day in PC gaming history. And then Cyberpunk 2077 happened and totally swallowed that. As for the why here, I don't think this is not sold well because it's not a great expansion. I think it's because Blizzard utterly busted their reputation. I mean, Patch 9.1 is one of the worst patches in the game's history. It also happened at the same time that the absolute dam burst on the Blizzard drama, and they had generally fostered a, well, to be honest, a community perception that had them coming off like pig-headed morons. I'm not calling them that. I'm saying that is how they came off towards the community because of a
I'll call them that. Yeah, pig-headed morons. I will. I don't care. What are they going to do? It's like they were. And they probably are aware that they were.
Combination of, obviously, design decisions, but then also a lack of communication that then engendered a perception in the community because they were being met by a wall of silence. And that's the sort of thing that they've got to cut through. That's why I was happy to see that tweet response from Holly as an example. So my view here is that World of Warcraft actually has a bright future. Its future, seemingly as we learn more info about this expansion, is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. But I do think that getting that back is going to take time. Also, from a marketing perspective, the marketing of this was just World of Warcraft, dragons are cool, everyone's happy, wahoo, adventure. Now, to a bunch of us that stuck around with Shadowlands, I mean stuck around just really for me because of like a little bit of obviously having a tie to the game, having friends who are still in the game, and to be honest, enjoying Season 4 quite a bit. But we see that and we're like, oh, awesome! Finally, this is the opposite of the tone we haven't liked. And to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who just sees an advertisement, they're like, what? I mean, Warlords of Draenor had a big explosion, a sweaty orc that said, freedom, right? He may as well have screamed, America, fuck yeah, rock, flag, and eagle. In terms of like the core messaging of WoD, it was so strong. Like that, it was uber Metzen, that trailer, right? Like that got people fired up.
Dude, I still do not like Warlords of Draenor. I think it was stupid. I think from a story standpoint, it's completely stupid. It's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna break the World of Warcraft timeline, create an alternate fucking universe, and you're gonna be able to travel back and forth to that timeline whenever you want. You're just like, bruh. And why? Then you'd ask, well, why did you do this? And it's like, because the Iron Horde sounds fucking metal as fuck. Like that was it. Because the Iron Horde is metal as fuck, and that's the reason. We're doing it because it sounds really cool to have the Iron Horde. It's like, bro, get over yourself.
Whereas what's this? Woo! A bunch of elves! A bunch of dragons! Dragons who have been pretty underdeveloped in the actual game. Now, I'm not saying that any of those things are bad things. I'm just saying that it's not Arthas. It's not seeing that awesome Deathwing cinematic. I've really liked the cinematics for Dragonflight, by the way, but to a bunch of people who are not engaged, who like left during...
It's like, in a way, and I think that I've said this in discussions with Akalon, it's like, look, Dragonflight is almost like the Realm Reborn of World of Warcraft. It's when the game gets to, you know, finally be good again, because like, you know, you had the 1.0 and then you had all those problems, and then they made Realm Reborn where they kind of fixed a lot of the shit. Dragonflight feels like a Realm Reborn, so it's not going to blow anybody's minds in terms of like story or even in terms of features. It's not necessarily mind-blowing, but it's pretty good, which is something that the game hasn't been for decades.
BFA didn't play Shadowlands, and they're like, so what, we went from the roof exploding, the world completely changing, to now just a new thing with dragons? What? I don't care, I don't know. So, my overall opinion, my overall thesis is that I am extremely bullish on the future of World of Warcraft, given what 2023 seems to be. I mean, we do expect a Mage Tower-like feature, we expect a revamp of the archaeology profession, amongst other things, of course. I'm very bullish on WoW's future. I do think, though, they need to stop, gather themselves, proceed on in a new and good way. I think that the Dragonflight expansion absolutely represents that. I have enjoyed the start of this more than Legion, because, to be honest, I thought that...
I put this expansion, in terms of features, on the level of Wrath of the Lich King. But Wrath of the Lich King had a much better story. But in terms of features, the only thing that I can't speak on is the raid, because I haven't done the raid. I'm not particularly interested on the raid. But in terms of features and just the overall feel of the game, I put it on the level of Wrath of the Lich King. Could be recency bias, though, so, you know.
Artifact weapons were a pretty damn weak system. I thought they were really cool from a fantasy perspective, but I didn't like that shit. Now, though, all I can say is everyone I know, and we were literally some of the most angry and publicly angry people about Shadowlands and BFA. The very same people, when they're actually, now with me playing the game, we're having an absolute ball. We can barely believe that the times have got this good this quick. So I think the future's bright, but the foundations need to be established, and once they have been established, we then need an expansion that has got a very clear and obvious marketing hook. That will get a lot of people in, and I would certainly say that Chris Metzen is, having him around, perhaps he just has a strong intrinsic sense of what gives you that kind of like fist pump, fuck yeah, Blizzard epic thing, and if that can be brought to the game, because, things maybe got a little bit soft, the lore's maybe got a little bit uber detail oriented, maybe we need to move things back into the sort of vision that caused this game universe to have a absolutely meteoric rise. So, there's my thoughts. That's the end of the video. If you'd like more videos, you can check out our Dragon series, and there will be many more coming over the following days, weeks, and months, because goddamn, we are, I'm backing up my general thesis on the old World of Warcraft with action, and we will be investing, we will be making plans. And I think they'll turn really good. Okay, have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
All right. That was a pretty good video. I agree with a lot of this stuff. And like I said, I think that this is a good expansion. I think that this could potentially be the Realm Reborn for World of Warcraft if they manage not to fuck it up. But we'll see. Anyway, there's a link to the video. Make sure to go in there. Check out the video, maybe leave it playing in the background, give it some watch time, and then hit the like button because that helps out immensely.